Before we start the program, I think Will has something that you wanted to say about the intelligent left.
Yeah, I mean, let me first start by saying I'm not trying to make any enemies, but I thought it was an interesting tweet from a South African sort of public intellectual and policy specialist by the name of Gwen Ngwenya. She's the head of policy for South Africa's leading opposition party, the Democratic Alliance. Now, very briefly, the Democratic Alliance styles itself as this classically liberal political party. They support free market economic policy. They're vehemently opposed to any race-based redress, despite South Africa's past. They recently officially adopted a policy of non-racialism, which is supposed to articulate this. A lot of prominent figures in the Democratic Alliance, like Helen Zille, who was a former leader of the party and is now the party's federal chair, sort of are very active on social media. They like to fight against identity politics. They see it as this scourge on South African society, and they've appointed themselves to oppose it. So basically this sort of like South African Republican Party, but also quite Tory-like. So that's just, in a nutshell, who they are. And Gwen is their head of policy. And she tweeted about reading Jacobin.
But before you say that, I think she used to work for the South African Institute of Race Relations, which is a sort of like the house, how can I say it? Like, they're like the think tank of the Democratic Alliance. Well, we don't have the time for that now, but of a faction within the Democratic Alliance. Let's just put it like that. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if people want to know more about the Democratic Alliance, they should check out the show we did with Christopher McMichael.
Yes.
On the South African right. And he gives a really good breakdown of all of these ecosystems and relationships. But Gwen tweeted about reading Jacobin, and Jacobin is a partner of ours. They're America's leading socialist publication. So I think a lot of people did a double take when they saw that. And she sort of explained the virtue of reading Jacobin as it's an informative and witty magazine. Later on, she described it as, it's important to read the intelligent left. And I think it's great that she reads Jacobin. I'm quite envious that she gets physical copies of the magazine quite timelessly to her inbox, because when you're in South Africa, it's very difficult to get international publications delivered to you in a timely fashion. So I wonder what her trick is. But
well, she actually said she gets it from the post office, which I thought was another interesting thing.
Another interesting thing. And I guess that's the.
Well, before let's tell people why we think that's interesting. I think their party is always about privatizing everything, or most things, including what you might call public utilities. So I thought it was interesting that Yo was like probably one of their most senior policy officer saying, I get it from a higher power or something. I'm just paraphrasing now. This was in another tweet. And I got it through the post office. I was like, I know how people in South Africa can go on about the post office. So this was I thought that was also good. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all the more interesting precisely because of that. And when you wonder about, okay, well, what does it mean to be part of the intelligent left? How is Jacobin an exemplifier of that? And why are you reading the intelligent left in a foreign publication as opposed to local publications? It's sort of, I guess one thinks, well,
don't be so hard on her. Well, she's discovering something good.
Yeah, and you think, well, are there no intelligent left wingers in South Africa that are worth reading? Not that that's what she's saying exactly, but I guess that's the path one ends up wandering upon. And what I think is especially interesting about the sort of current of public intellectual that I think she represents, which is this liberal that is, again, vehemently critical of identity politics, sees it as South Africans, when they talk about race, when they talk about gender, sexual orientation, they're importing American frameworks. And I think what is interesting about that group is that they have quite a deeply held caricature of the left in South Africa. They think about it in the same way that Americans think about their left, as these cultural Marxists who are only interested in identity politics, or they're these sloganeering Soviet-styled Bolsheviks that just want to nationalize everything and send people to labor camps, which I think is how most people think about left-wingers in South Africa's elite public sphere, which of course overlooks that South Africa has a very rich intellectual tradition on the left, and at present does have a lot of people who are seriously thinking about a lot of these issues, including identity politics. There's some people who have thoughtful critiques about some of the biggest hobby horses that liberals have.